Hey everyone, and welcome back to Real World English, the podcast where we talk about real life, real situations, and of course, real English. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Fred, and today we are getting into something a little personal. Like, genuinely personal.
Yeah, this one hit close to home for me, I have to say. We're talking about stop shrinking yourself to fit in. Which is basically this idea that a lot of us, and I mean a lot of us, make ourselves smaller, quieter, less ourselves, just so other people feel comfortable around us.
And when you say shrinking yourself, I love that phrase, by the way. You mean like holding back your opinions, downplaying your achievements, pretending you care less about something than you actually do?
Exactly. All of that. Shrinking. Like you're making yourself smaller, less visible, less of a presence in the room.
Yeah. I feel personally attacked already, and we're 30 seconds in.
Same, Fred. Same. So let's get concrete, right? Because I think when people hear stop shrinking yourself, they might think, okay, that sounds like a motivational poster. But what does it actually look like in real life?
Right, like what are the actual behaviors? Because I think a lot of people do this without even realizing it. It's kind of unconscious. You don't notice you're doing it.
Oh, totally. So for me, one of the biggest ones is downplaying your achievements. Like someone says, oh, wow, you did a great job on that presentation. And instead of saying, thank you, I worked really hard on it, you say, oh, it was nothing. Honestly, anyone could have done it.
Yes! Or, oh, I just got lucky. That one drives me crazy. And if you're learning English, by the way, that phrase, to downplay something, means to make something seem less important or less impressive than it really is. Like you're minimizing it.
Minimizing. Good word. So, downplaying, minimizing, same idea. You achieved something real, and then you immediately shrink it.
And another big one, this happens a lot socially, is staying quiet when you actually have something to say. Like you have an opinion, you have an idea, and you just don't share it. Because you're worried about what people will think.
Or you start to say something, and then you kind of trail off mid-sentence because you lose your nerve. You start, and then, yeah, you just stop.
Lose your nerve. I like that. That means you suddenly feel too afraid or uncertain to continue doing something. Like your courage disappears in the moment.
And it's so relatable, right? I used to do this in meetings all the time. I'd have an idea. I'd think, okay, I'm going to say it. And then someone else would start talking, and I'd just think, you know what? Never mind. I'll keep it to myself.
And then 20 minutes later, someone else says basically the same thing, and everyone loves it.
Every single time. And you're just sitting there like, that was my idea. That was literally my idea.
Yeah, the internal suffering is real.
So the big question is, why? Why do people shrink themselves? Like, what's the actual reason behind it?
I think a huge part of it is fear of judgment. Like, we're worried that if we're too confident, too loud, too much, people won't like us. They'll think we're arrogant or annoying.
And there's this interesting thing. I think it affects some people more than others. Like, if you grew up in an environment where being loud or assertive was considered rude, it can feel almost physically uncomfortable to take up space.
Right. Take up space. That's such a good expression. And for our listeners, taking up space doesn't literally mean like spreading out physically. It means allowing yourself to be present, to be heard, to have an impact in a conversation or a room.
And some cultures really, really value humility, like being modest, not showing off, which is beautiful in a lot of ways. But there's a difference between genuine humility and shrinking yourself out of fear.
That's a really important distinction, actually. Humility is, I know my worth, I just don't need to announce it all the time. But shrinking is more like, I'm going to hide my worth because I'm scared of how people will react.
Yes, one is a choice. The other is fear-based. It comes from anxiety.
And here's something interesting. Research actually shows that people who consistently downplay themselves, over time, start to actually believe those smaller versions of themselves. Like, you tell yourself, I just got lucky enough times, and eventually, part of you starts to think, maybe I really did just get lucky. Maybe I'm not that good.
That's kind of scary when you say it out loud.
It is, right? It's like the performance becomes the reality. The act of shrinking actually shrinks you in a real way.
And I think that's why this matters. It's not just about one moment of being too modest at a party. It's about a pattern, a habit, that can genuinely affect how you see yourself over time.
And then there's the social pressure side of this. Because sometimes, let's be honest, other people actually want you to shrink.
Oh, this is such a real thing.
Like if you suddenly start being more confident, more direct, more yourself, the people around you might not love that because it disrupts the dynamic. It changes the relationship they were comfortable with.
And they might even push back. They might say things like, "Oh, who do you think you are?" Or, "You've changed." And they don't mean it as a compliment.
Yeah. You've changed, said in that tone of voice, is basically, you've stopped doing what was convenient for me.
Right? And I think this is where it gets genuinely hard. Because we're social creatures. We care about belonging. We care about what the people close to us think. And so, when someone in your life makes you feel like your growth is a problem, that's really painful.
But here's the thing, and I think this is kind of the heart of today's topic. When you shrink yourself to keep other people comfortable, you're making a trade. You're trading your authenticity for their approval.
And by the way, authenticity. That's a great word for English learners to know. It means being genuine, being your real self. Your authentic self is the real you, not the version you perform for other people.
And the problem with trading authenticity for approval is that the approval you get, it's not really for you. It's for the version of you that you're pretending to be.
Say that again, because that one landed.
If you shrink yourself to make people like you, the people who like you are liking a smaller, quieter, less real version of you, not actually you.
So the approval is kind of hollow, empty. It doesn't actually fill the need you have to be seen and valued.
Exactly. And if you're learning English, hollow is a really useful word here. Something hollow is empty on the inside. So, hollow approval means it looks like validation on the outside, but there's nothing real inside it.
Okay, so we've established that shrinking yourself is a thing. It has real consequences, and social pressure makes it hard to stop. So, what do you actually do about it?
I want to say there's no magic switch. It's not like you listen to a podcast episode and suddenly you walk into work on Monday a completely different person. It's a process.
A gradual process. And I think the first step is just noticing, catching yourself in the moment. Like, oh, I just minimized what I said. I just apologized for having an opinion. I just said it was nothing, when actually it was something.
Just building that awareness. And it's uncomfortable at first because you realize how often you do it.
So much. Like, embarrassingly often.
Yeah, but noticing is step one. And then, step two, I think, is starting small. You don't have to suddenly become this bold, outspoken person overnight.
Right. It's more like maybe this week, when someone compliments your work, you just say, thank you. Full stop. No, oh, it was nothing. Anyone could have done it. Just thank you.
That sounds so simple, right? But try it. Just try saying thank you to a compliment with no follow-up self-deprecation. It feels almost rebellious.
Self-deprecation. And that's another one for our English learners. It means making fun of yourself or putting yourself down, often as a kind of humor or modesty. A little self-deprecation can be funny and charming, but too much becomes a habit of making yourself small.
And I think another practical thing is getting comfortable with taking up more space in conversation, like finishing your thoughts. If you have a sentence, finish the sentence. Don't trail off. Don't say, I don't know, maybe, never mind.
Own the sentence. I actually wrote that on a sticky note and put it on my laptop for a while. Own the sentence.
That's actually really good. And related to that, stop overqualifying everything you say. You know when people say things like, this might be a stupid question, but, or, I'm probably wrong, but,
Oh God, yes. Pre-apologizing for your own thoughts.
like just ask the question, just say the thing. You don't need a disclaimer before every opinion you have.
And it's interesting. Research and a lot of therapists point to this idea that when you start behaving like someone who takes up space, even before you feel like it naturally, your self-perception actually starts to shift. Like the behavior leads the feeling, not the other way around.
So fake it till you make it. Kind of?
More like practice it till it's real. Because fake it sounds like you're being dishonest, but really, you're just practicing a version of yourself that's closer to who you actually are.
That's a nicer way to put it. Practice it till it's real.
Can I get a little personal for a second? So, I grew up, and I think a lot of women especially can relate to this, being told kind of constantly to be nice. Don't make people uncomfortable. Don't be too much. And I internalized that so deeply that for years I genuinely didn't know what I actually thought about things. Like my own opinions were just muted, turned down.
Yeah, that's really honest. And I think, men deal with a version of this too. Like, there's pressure to not show vulnerability, not ask for help, not admit you're struggling, which is also a form of shrinking weirdly. Like you're shrinking your emotional range.
Oh, that's such a good point. Shrinking isn't only about being quiet or modest. It can also be about hiding parts of yourself that you've been told are weakness.
Yeah, and I think, for me, the thing that helped was honestly just surrounding myself with people where I didn't feel like I had to perform, where I could just be whatever I was that day. Tired, excited, uncertain, confident. All of it.
Finding your people. And when you find them, you realize, oh, this is what it feels like to not shrink. And you want more of it.
And that contrast is really useful, actually, because when you feel the difference, when you feel what it's like to be fully yourself somewhere, it makes you less willing to go back to the shrinking.
Less willing to settle for hollow approval. I'm bringing that one back.
It's a good phrase. It deserves to come back.
Okay, so to wrap up today's episode, We talked about what shrinking yourself actually looks like. We talked about why we do it: fear of judgment, social pressure, cultural expectations. We talked about the real cost of it, which is that you start to lose touch with who you actually are. And we talked about some small, practical ways to start reclaiming your space.
And I just want to say, if this episode resonated with you, that probably means something. Like your reaction is information. Maybe worth sitting with.
Yeah, and it's a process. No one unlearns years of shrinking in a day. But just notice it. Start there.
Start there. Okay, let's get into our words and phrases segment.
All right, words and phrases time. This is where Fred and I go back through some of the words and expressions we use today, because some of them are genuinely really useful for everyday English. So let's do it.
First one, to downplay something. We use this early on. To downplay means to make something seem less important or less impressive than it actually is. So if you got a promotion at work and you say, "Oh, it's not a big deal, really," you're downplaying it.
And the opposite would be to highlight something or to own it. So instead of downplaying your promotion, own it. Say you're proud of it.
Next, to lose your nerve. Hannah used this one, and I loved it. To lose your nerve means to suddenly feel too scared or uncertain to do something you were about to do. Like, I was going to ask my boss for a raise, but I lost my nerve at the last second.
Yeah, your nerve is basically your courage in that moment. So losing it means the courage just goes, disappears. We've all been there.
So relatable. Okay, number 3, to take up space. This is a phrase that comes up a lot in conversations about confidence and self-worth. It means allowing yourself to be present, to be heard, to have influence. So you might say, she really knows how to take up space in a room. She walks in and you notice her immediately.
And for English learners, this expression is used both literally and figuratively. Literally, taking up space is physical. Figuratively, it's about presence and confidence. Context will usually make it clear which one you mean.
Good point. Next one, hollow. We said hollow approval. Hollow literally means empty inside, like a hollow tree trunk. But figuratively, we use it to describe things that look real or meaningful from the outside, but have no real substance. So, hollow praise is praise that doesn't feel genuine. Hollow promises are promises someone has no intention of keeping.
Love that word. Okay, number 5. Self-deprecation or self-deprecating. This means making jokes at your own expense or putting yourself down, often as a form of humor or false modesty. A self-deprecating comment might sound like, "Oh, I'm terrible at this." A little of it can be charming. A lot of it becomes a habit of making yourself small.
Guilty. I am historically a very self-deprecating person.
I wasn't going to say anything. And last one, authenticity or authentic. Your authentic self is your real, genuine self, not a performance, not a version of you that you've adjusted to make other people comfortable. Authentic also describes things that are real and original. So, authentic Italian food is actually from Italy, made the traditional way. And an authentic person is someone who's genuinely themselves. No mask, no performance.
And I think that's what today's whole episode was really about. Finding your way back to your authentic self. even when the world has been quietly telling you to shrink it.
Well said. All right, that's it for today's episode of Real World English. Thank you so much for spending this time with us.
If today's episode made you think or made you feel something, tell us about it. We genuinely love to hear from you.
And if you know someone who needs to hear this one, share it with them. Sometimes people need permission to stop shrinking. And maybe this is it.
Until next time, take up space out there.
See you next week.